bodies found inside a car. The challenge was going to be who else was in that vehicle and what happened.
Everything inside this car and outside this car matters. It's time to get to work.
Detectives?
When Quinn and I roll up on scene, we see a gold Mercury Marquis parked on the curb. We see the first responding officer, so now we know what we gotta do.
Break it down for us. The lady that lives here called it in.
This sister was just trying to back out and go to work, and she finds her driveway obstructed.
She said she didn't want to speak to the driver, so she called it in as a suspicious vehicle. And when I got here, I opened the door, found him unresponsive.
All right, let's see what we have.
We have to look at exactly what happened inside this vehicle. So our victim is buckled into the passenger seat. He's slumped over.
It looks like we have a pressed contact wound behind the left ear.
When a gun is pressed up against skin and is fired into it, you usually see striations, little cuts around the hole. And that's exactly what we saw in this victim. This was an execution.
All right, well, he still got his seatbelt on. So somebody caught this young man by surprise.
I see a .40 caliber shell casing on the floorboard in the front of the car. There's absolutely no doubt that this victim was shot inside of this vehicle.
Look, check it out, Vinny. You see that blood smear right there?
Mm-hmm.
But look, you see it on the driver's side door, too.
Yep.
With the smear, you can tell as this person up front exited, that's clear evidence that they got out the car.
All right, so maybe the driver is the killer.
I don't think so. He was behind him.
And the fact that this wound is to the back of his head on his left side, more than likely, the killer was sitting in the back seat. As far as evidence goes, there's just three main things that we're focused on right now. Our victim in the seat, the shell casing on the floor, and the blood spatter, which really paints, ironically, a picture of what happened to this victim.
All right, let's see if we can find out who he is.
So the first thing we're trying to look for is an ID. We clearly see this victim has no wallet in his pocket.
Nothing.
Maybe that's our motive, though, right? Robbery?
We got to appreciate the fact that that's what we're dealing with here. Somebody went in crazy, shot a victim, and just took all his loot.
Hold on. Got a cell phone.
Bingo. Okay, that could be huge. Find out who this young man been talking to.
We may find out not just who he is, but the killer's number or the killer's name may be in his phone.
Could we make sure we give this car a full once-over?
We had them start dusting for prints and looking for anything that, their trained eye can find and then get back to us.
Thanks, TJ.
We talked to the homeowner that made the 911 call, and she doesn't recall anything throughout the night that was significant.
We need to talk to the neighbors because we need to know what they may have seen.
How you doing? So, I'm Detective Velasquez. We're with the Atlanta Police Department.
So Quinn and I knock on the door right next to the 911 caller.
What's going on?
Matt Byers is a homeowner. So we tell him, looks like we have a homicide that occurred.
Hey, look, did you see or hear anything strange last night?
Last night, between 11 and 12, I heard an engine. Went to my window and saw a car, and in it was about 3 people.
We already think we're looking for 2 people in the car with our victim, and now the neighbor, Matt Byers, basically confirms the roll call of 3 people.
Now, I assumed that they were friends with this neighbor.
Okay. Did you hear a gunshot?
No.
So we got to consider, did our homicide even happen here?
All right, did you get a good look at any of them?
It's kind of dark to see anything. Honestly, I only peeked out just a few seconds and I went on back to bed.
He didn't really think of anything suspicious or sinister happening outside of his house that night.
Hear anything else or anything strange goes on, let us know, okay?
So we thank Mr. Byers for his information. We keep knocking on doors, but we get nothing else. So right now, all we have is our 911 caller and Matt Byers seeing this car show up between 11 and 12. So that starts our timeline. At least we have something to start with. We're getting ready to leave the crime scene when a bystander catches our eye.
What's up, man?
We finally go over to the brother. He identifies himself as Alan Worley.
Another dead guy.
If he's telling the truth, that's great for us, because right now, he's still unidentified.
Okay. What's his name?
This is my man, Red. He hangs out on Cleveland Avenue.
That's not anywhere near our crime scene. That's on the other side of town.
What's Red's real name?
I don't know. That's all I got for you.
So now we're thinking, okay, if this truly is the person he knows as Red, what is Red doing all the way over here in Northwest Atlanta?
All right, wait a second, man. Let me get your information, all right?
I look down and I immediately see this red spatter of some substance on his boot.
What's that on your shoe, man? Yeah, the red stuff right there.
I don't know.
We know we got blood spatter all inside this car. He could have changed, but nobody ever changes their boots. So we're thinking Alan Worley may be our killer.
My man, these are brand new boots and you don't know what that stain is from?
No.
All right, so where were you last night?
I was at my cousin's house.
And we find out the family home is just 500 feet away from our crime scene.
I had nothing to do with the murder.
Okay. So you wouldn't mind if one of my people take a sample of whatever that is?
Go ahead.
I had the crime scene tech basically swab his boots right there in the crime scene. We got to wait on that to come back for DNA, but in the meantime, we let Alan Worley go. Our impression of Alan is he's on the hook until he's not on the hook anymore.
At this point, on day one of this investigation, we got nothing but question marks.
Velasquez. Really? All right, we're on the way. We gotta go. We got a witness from this case that's waiting for us at HQ.
Let's boogie.
Only a few hours in, we got a potential suspect and a witness back at the office. I'm awake now. I'm feeling this case.
How you doing?
This investigation will present one challenge after another.
What they look like?
Not really sure.
We have a star witness who actually didn't see a thing.
We'll need to try something totally outside the box.
Let us know if you recognize his voice.
We're gonna do something we've never done before.
Identifying the killer.
You recognize this guy?
Yeah.
This case was full of twists and turns. Will become a high-stakes game
That's my brother.
We had the wrong guy.
of cat and mouse.
Was Red's girl in on this?
Things just got way more complicated.
It looks like we have a press contact wound behind the left ear.
We're investigating the shooting death of a man found inside a parked car in Northwest Atlanta.
Another dead guy.
A bystander named Alan Worley identified our victim in the vehicle as an individual he knows as Red.
What's that on your shoe, man?
When my partner points out what looks to be blood on the boots of this cat, Alan Worley, I mean, this could be our missing link.
We don't have anything to charge him with at this point, but right now he's definitely piqued our interest.
Velasquez. Really?
But as we're about to leave, we get a call from a fellow investigator about a witness who has information on our case.
Let's boogie.
So we race back to the office to speak with her. We meet with Detective Charlotte Viceroy.
Listen, I've been working a carjacking case since last night, and believe the victim might be connected to your case.
Who is he?
Who is she? Camila Santos came in last night saying that her boyfriend was shot in her car.
This could line up with our case. It could be the same thing.
Really? Where?
Bonneville Terrace.
It's gotta be ours.
She's in the box.
Thanks, V.
So this witness should be able to tell us exactly what happened to our victim, and maybe she actually knows the killer.
So I'm Detective Velasquez. This is my partner, Detective Quinn.
What do you want me to say?
I immediately tune in that she's not acting the way a witness to her boyfriend getting murdered should act. So my suspicions are up right now on Camilla.
So tell us what happened, okay? Start at the very beginning.
I was with my boyfriend, Casimiro.
She tells us her boyfriend's name is Casimiro Ibarra. He's 20 years old.
He goes by Red.
What's his name?
That's my man, Red.
Alan Worley said he knew our victim in our car shot dead as being Red.
We're like, okay, this is great.
We were at my apartment getting ready. We had plans to go on a date. I'll be ready in 5.
She's getting dressed. He tells her, hey, we got to do something real quick before we go on our date.
We gotta make a pit stop.
For what?
I mean, we gotta meet some folks of mine.
Did he say why he wanted to meet them?
No.
So about 11:45, Camilla says they leave their apartment and go meet Red's folks. She says he actually makes her drive. And at some point during the trip, he passes the phone to her.
There was a guy who was giving me directions for where to meet them.
Where'd you go?
Maple Creek Apartments. I pulled up, and there were two guys there.
There's two black guys that she's never seen before. They walk up to the car and jump in the back seat.
What'd they look like?
I'm not really sure. It was dark, and I was driving.
What Camilla does say is the person that sat behind her while she was driving the vehicle had dreadlocks and had a heavy build.
One of them was the one I spoke to on the phone.
But most importantly, she recognized his voice when he started talking in the vehicle as the same person who was giving her directions to Maple Creek Apartments.
What about the other guy?
He was tall and thin.
Okay. Where'd you go?
We drove a few blocks, and then, boom.
She immediately looks over and sees her boyfriend, Casimiro, slump over in the car.
The skinny guy told me to get out of the car now, or I was next.
Camilla says she just jumps out of the driver's seat. And the guy with the dreads that was sitting behind her gets into the driver's seat and just drives away.
All right, why did they shoot your boyfriend?
No idea.
Okay. This doesn't make sense.
So either this thing has a story that we don't know about and the connection between the two people in the back seat and our victim, or Camilla's not telling us everything.
Did you find the money?
The money?
$1,000.
Camilla adds this last little nugget, and she tells us in Casimiro's pocket was $1,000 of her refund money from her income tax. Think back to the crime scene when Vin's going through our victim's pockets, there's no cash.
Nothing.
This might be just a rip.
So these guys didn't ask about money?
While robbery seems like a viable motive, it still doesn't make sense. There's no conversation in the car, so my question is, how would they know that this victim had cash on him? There's something missing here.
Is it possible the prime suspect is actually sitting across from us?
I'm thinking Camilla may be involved in this homicide herself.
So were you and Casimiro beefing at all?
No,
Then why'd he have your money with him?
I don't know.
All right, do you remember anything else from that night? Or the men that you picked up?
There was a blue car.
She said the only other thing she remembers is when they pulled into Maple Creek, these two guys were sitting on a blue car.
I assume it belonged to one of them.
We gotta figure out where that blue car is.
So I know this was hard. So thank you for speaking with us.
For now, we know we're gonna have to come back to Camilla. I mean, all the dots didn't get cleared up here, so we're gonna kick her loose and circle back to her later.
One of the first things we did was we subpoenaed Casimiro's cell phone records. We believe that would be the best way to ID the suspect.
While we're waiting on that, we had to track down this blue car.
Lucky for us, Detective Viceroy, she already had this information.
She had gone to Maple Creek Apartments, identified the vehicle, and gave us the VIN. So we popped that VIN in the system, and it came back registered to a girl named Jennifer Carl.
We're thinking she could be a girlfriend or family member of one of the suspects.
We contacted Jennifer, and she said she actually sold the vehicle to a lady named Valerie Mack on March 23rd.
Which is just 4 days before our homicide.
It was time to see what this woman knows.
Excuse me, miss. How you doing?
So we go right away. We hit up Valerie Mack. She lives at Maple Creek Apartments. Once we get there, she says, yeah, I did buy the car.
So we have a few questions about a homicide we're working.
You know, we want to know everything she knows about this car and maybe about these two guys that are missing.
Yeah, so where were you last night?
I was here all night.
And the car?
I didn't drive it, but I did notice something.
Valerie Mack says on the morning of the homicide, March 27th, she went outside to go to work and saw that someone had been sitting on the hood of her car.
There were like footprints on the hood.
So Camilla's story checks out.
Look, I don't know anything about these guys or a murder, I swear.
We realized at this point it's probably just a coincidence that these two guys were sitting on Valerie's car.
So if you think of anything else, give me a call.
In this situation, a dead end is called progress for me and Ben. We gotta keep it moving, keep pumping, and see what's next in this case.
Quinn and I head back to the office, and we get a report left on our desk about the red substance on Alan Worley's shoes.
And we got the results on Worley's shoe from CSI.
Might be closing our case today, baby.
Nope. Results are negative. It's not blood.
And this is another dead end, but, you know, this is what we do in homicide.
So Worley's in the clear.
Yeah.
Quit like, damn. We thought Alan Worley was our man.
Velasquez.
We get a call from a woman named Monica Marley who claims to be our victim's other girlfriend.
Can you repeat that?
Casimiro was my man.
We got Camilla over here is in the car with our victim. She's giving us information. Now we got Monica calling another girlfriend.
Yo, this might be our motive right here, yo.
So you two were dating?
Yeah.
We gotta think, did Camilla actually set up Red because he had another girlfriend?
Seen Camilla acting all sad.
You know her?
Yeah. Casimiro bounced back and forth.
They knew about each other. And in fact, when our victim would break up with Camilla, he would go stay with Monica. When him and Monica would break up, he'd go back to Camilla.
Okay, so do you have any idea who'd kill Casimiro?
Nah. I just figured it was part of the game.
The game. Casimiro was dealing drugs?
Yeah. He mostly sold weed over in the Cleveland Avenue area.
So now we have to consider a whole different aspect of this case.
Do you have any idea who'd kill Casimiro?
Nah. I just figured it was part of the game.
We've just learned an explosive piece of intel about our murder victim, Casimiro Ibarra.
Casimiro was dealing drugs?
Yeah.
Our investigation has shifted gears. Right now, we're almost certain the motive for our murder is drugs.
He mostly sold weed over in the Cleveland Avenue area.
We got to think back to Alan Worley from the crime scene.
That's my man Red. He hangs out on Cleveland Avenue.
So that corroborates this information.
Is there anything else you can add?
Nah.
Monica was a treasure trove of information. We now know our victim had $1,000 in his pocket, 2 unknown males in the back seat, and he's a drug dealer. It's starting to make sense now.
So this could be our motive. Could have been a drug lick, unpaid debt.
Revenge. It all goes hand in hand in the drug trade.
Mm-hmm.
We have to consider a whole different aspect of this case.
We still gotta check him out.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're trying to figure out what our next move is gonna be.
I knew I'd find you two here.
What's up, Kat?
Our crime scene tech shows up and she's got some information for us.
I was able to pull some prints from the driver's side exterior of the vehicle.
Go ahead, girl.
This is totally unexpected. We never, ever get fingerprints.
I ran the prints and it came back to this guy, Eddie Wright.
If Eddie Wright's fingerprints in APHIS, he's gonna be somebody that's a frequent flyer getting arrested.
What do you think?
It's one of our guys.
This could be the skinny one that was behind Casimiro.
Either way, he's got to explain these prints.
Right now, Eddie Wright goes to the top of the suspect list.
Thanks, Kat. This is awesome.
Anytime.
We need to speak with Eddie ASAP.
I got a good number for Eddie Wright. I give him a call. Eddie Wright was straight up and said, hey man, I'm ready to talk to you about whatever you need. And within the hour, Eddie Wright's sitting in our office.
All right, man. We gotta ask you some questions, and you gotta tell some truth.
Yes, sir.
You recognize this guy?
Yeah, that's Red.
We know we're in the right territory. We got a connection between our victim and his car. I mean, it all makes sense.
Oh man, you're not running from this.
Nah, I bought dope from him, but y'all aren't the drug police either.
No.
All right. When's the last time you saw him?
26 in the morning.
That's one day before we find our victim dead.
You know, Eddie Wright is making our job easy by giving us all this juicy info.
This is my girlfriend in Maple Creek. So I'm driving around the block, flagged him down, about $15 worth off of him.
You get in the car?
No way, man. Walked up to the driver's side, handed him the cash, he handed me the dope, That was that.
We gotta wonder, I mean, that's a drug transaction getting served at a driver door because he said Casimiro never got out. Maybe inadvertently touched the car and left those prints there for us later.
Never been inside Casimiro's car.
All right, so you know anything about Casimiro's murder?
No way.
So where were you last night?
I was at my girl's. You can ask her.
He has absolutely nothing to contribute that brings us any closer to identifying these two people that were in the backseat of our victim's car.
Even though we're not really feeling any right, we still gotta be thorough. We checked his alibi, and it was good. We also put his mugshot in the lineup and had Camilla actually view it.
And she quickly said there's nobody on here that she can identify that was in the backseat of that car.
So Eddie Wright's no longer a suspect.
We're still considering the possibility that Camilla's involved, but we really didn't have any solid evidence. At this point, we had to come up with a new way to try to figure this thing out.
All right, so I checked with Mikey in the gang unit, and they could not find any gang connections with Casimiro.
Okay.
We know our victim's a drug dealer at this point, and we know being a drug dealer is a high-risk profession. And with that comes violence and sometimes homicide.
All right, I got something here.
We run Casimiro Ibarra through our system to see what his history was with APD.
Check this out.
Aggravated assault.
We clearly see he's a victim of an assault.
Look at the date, though.
March 5th.
Mm-hmm.
The timing makes sense.
That's 3 weeks before our victim was found dead.
I don't get it, though. Dope boys don't call the police.
And we're talking about a victim that's in the game. He called the police. That doesn't normally happen.
Maybe that's what got him killed.
We gotta consider, is that person trying to silence the guy he got a report generated from?
Maybe that's the motive for the murder.
Maybe the person that assaulted Casimiro came back to finish the job.
Maybe there's something in his criminal history.
We're feeling like a drug connection led to Casimiro Ibarra's death.
All right, I got something here.
We run a background check on Casimiro, and we see that he was a victim of a grave assault just 3 weeks earlier.
March 5th.
Mm-hmm.
The timing makes sense. All right, so how'd it happen?
So it started as an argument.
Me and Vin peeped the police report, and we see that Casimiro got into some kind of verbal dispute with this cat named Marcel Jones. It got so heated, the dude named Marcel Jones takes out a pistol and starts beating our victim, Casimiro Ibarra. I mean, he beat him with a gun. It makes sense that later on he shoots him with one.
Damn. Roughed him up pretty bad.
Yeah. Look at this.
We pulled Marcel Jones's mugshot, and lo and behold, this cat's got dreadlocks. This is just like the suspect that Camilla described.
I'm really liking Marcel right now.
Me too. Let's pull his address.
So now we're all excited and amped up. You know, we gotta go holler at Marcel Jones.
He has a history with our victim. He's done damage to him before. This could all be related, and this could be our guy. This is making too much sense at this point.
Ah, man.
What do you got?
We punch his name into our system just to see where this brother is, and we find out he's been in jail before our murder even happened, and is still sitting there.
Of course he's not our guy.
Right. Why do we think it was gonna be this easy?
So far, we've been getting all these pieces of evidence that were good, and it just keeps falling apart, and we start over. At this point in the investigation, we need something solid.
Benny, have something for you.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, man.
And just when we think we've hit another dead end, another wall,
This is Casimiro's call logs.
the phone records come in. This is important. We're gonna ID people off numbers. It's beautiful.
Let's focus on the calls around midnight.
We know from Camilla that the victim was talking to the bad guys. So we know, with these phone records in front of us, that number's in there.
All right, I got it. So the last call made, the subscriber listed is Justin Mills. Give me a second.
So we run Justin Mills through the system.
Okay, Justin Mills has drug charges, and he's got dreads.
And we got a description. And we see height, weight, body description, and dreadlocks. He matches the same person Camilla described as the person that was sitting behind her in the car and the person that she talked to on the phones.
You got a home address?
No.
Hold up. I think we have a girlfriend.
So we dig a little deeper and we find out that Justin Mills has an associate named Janelle Gordon, and this sister lives out in East Point.
That's right.
We knew at this point, we've been striking out all along. This was a linchpin. This was gonna be what helped us solve this case.
When we arrive at Janelle's apartment, she invites us inside.
Okay, so we need your assistance with this murder case.
Yeah, sure. Anything I can do to help.
She is straight up cooperative. I mean, she is as surprised to see 2 homicide detectives in her house as she's ever been in her entire life.
We're looking for somebody that you know.
Sure.
She wants to get to the bottom of what's going on because she had nothing to do with this.
You know Justin Mills?
Yeah, that's my boyfriend.
I'm like, we're hit pay dirt. Now we know we are at the right spot for at least one of these guys in that car.
You know where we can find him?
Yeah, he's in the back bedroom.
I just looked at my partner and I was like, we may be face to face with one of our killers right now.
All right, do you mind going to get him just so we can talk to him real quick?
Sure.
Thank you.
We're locked and loaded, excited. This is the moment for this case right now.
What's up?
This sister finally comes out and she presents us this guy named Justin Mills, who's a short, light-skinned brother with short hair. This isn't the Justin Mills we've been looking for.
You're Justin Mills?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is going on here?
This is Casimiro's call logs.
The Casimiro Ibarra murder investigation is now growing some legs. After getting the victim's cell phone records, we zero in on the number the victim last had contact with.
The subscriber listed is Justin Mills. Give me a second.
Mills's physical description is consistent with the information and the description given by our victim's girlfriend.
We're trying to find somebody that you know.
We visit Justin's girlfriend and hit pay dirt.
You know where we can find him?
Yeah, he's in the back bedroom.
When she comes out with this guy, he's a short, light-skinned brother, and he's got short hair. This ain't the Justin Mills from the mugshot.
You're Justin Mills?
Yeah.
Okay. Then who is this fella?
You recognize this guy?
Yeah, that's my brother.
She says, that's my brother, Ceylon Mason.
All right, so why is your brother in the system as your boyfriend?
He used my identity when he was busted.
This happens all the time. Jokers use other names when they get arrested or stopped by the police if they got active warrants or they're just subjects of active criminal investigation.
It's not the first time he used my name.
You know, we feel like we didn't hit a dead end this time. We actually hit a tunnel.
Do you know where Ceylon is?
No, but his girlfriend will know.
Could you give her a call for us?
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is gonna lead us somewhere.
Hey, can you give me a call back when you get the chance?
Let's do something. Have her call us.
We didn't meet our suspect on this scene, but we met his sister. His family just effectively gave him up. We're on the road to recovery on this investigation.
It's Vince.
So later that same day, my phone rings and it's actually Ceylon Mason calling.
Yo, man, thanks for calling. So listen, man, we need to talk.
I recorded the conversation because I didn't know what Ceylon was gonna say.
Okay, so your name came up on a case I'm working.
I don't know why.
And Ceylon was pretty much engaging in the conversation.
Okay, so how about you come to the office and we straighten this out now?
I don't know. I got some stuff to take care of. He's trying to figure out which way to go. I mean, this is normal behavior. We expect this, so we don't really feel and have our hopes up he's actually coming into the office.
All good. I sprung this on you.
I didn't want to spook this kid. I wanted to make him feel comfortable, and that's something we always do.
What about later today?
Well, let me call you back.
What do you think?
He knows we're on to him. Let's see what his next move is.
And the feeling I got, he needed to digest this, let it marinate a little bit for the gravity of this whole case to weigh on him.
We waited and waited. The next day goes by, and Ceylon never called back. He was a ghost. By not calling us, Ceylon really confirmed our suspicions that he's involved in this murder somehow.
We weren't really surprised, but we were stuck. We didn't have enough to get an arrest warrant for him. Camilla told us she didn't get a good look at his face, so we knew getting a lineup together wasn't gonna help. At this point, we had to come up with another plan.
We pride ourselves in thinking outside the box in these investigations.
So we decided to do something we've never tried before, and it was just crazy enough to work.
We invite Camila Santos to the office.
Thanks for coming in. Grab a chair. All right, so you spoke with one of the killers on the phone, right?
Yeah,
Okay, and you also spoke to him in the car?
that's right.
Okay. Look, we want you to listen to something, all right?
If it indeed is Ceylon Mason, to which I have an audio recording of his voice, she could do a voice ID.
Just listen closely and take your time. Let us know if you recognize his voice, okay?
We've never done that before. I didn't even know if that would fly in court, to be honest with you, but we needed to move this needle in some direction. So at this point, that was some dice I was willing to roll.
I don't know. I got some stuff to take care of. We're sitting here waiting on homicide history to take place. We can't wait to hear what she's got to say.
What do you think?
This entire case is riding on this moment right here.
Thanks for coming in.
A week into working in the Casimiro Ibarra homicide, and we're circling back to his girlfriend, Camila Santos.
So you spoke to one of the killers on the phone?
Unfortunately, Camilla was unable to make an ID from a photo lineup, so we improvised.
Look, we want you to listen to something, all right?
We have an audio recording of our prime suspect, Ceylon Mason.
I don't know. I got some stuff to take care of.
We hope that Camilla will recognize his voice.
What do you think?
Can you play it again?
Sure.
I don't know.
She's listening to this recording, and suddenly, her eyes go super wide.
I got some stuff to take care of.
That's it. That's the guy with the dreadlocks.
Are you sure?
1000%.
This was a watershed moment in criminal homicide investigation.
This Vince.
My partner was thinking on his toes, gets his digital recorder out, and I think he just made history.
So thanks for that. We'll be in touch.
Here, I'll walk you up.
This confirms, without a doubt, that we're on the right track with Ceylon Mason. So now we just got to pick up more pieces to try to tie him to this puzzle.
I need you to come into the office. We need to talk.
I start calling Ceylon to convince him to come in and sit down and give us his version of why he is involved in this case. And it worked.
You holler at him?
It's done.
All of a sudden, Ceylon Mason is ready to come and see us.
How'd you do it?
I told him when he comes in to talk to us, I'm not going to arrest him.
This is one of those areas where we sometimes step out on a ledge. I didn't promise him I would never arrest him. I just promised him I wouldn't arrest him that day and that he would go home.
3 days later, Ceylon Mason comes in for an interview.
I can leave after this?
Yeah. You have our word.
It's important to keep your promises because you're establishing a reputation out there in the street. And our reputation, it meant everything to us.
Now, you'll probably be indicted by a grand jury later on, but for today, you'll be able to go home to your family. I'm good with that. Okay. Let's start off with some basics then. You recognize this guy?
He starts by telling us he actually knows our victim, knows him as Red, that he's actually bought drugs from our victim before over on Cleveland Avenue.
Yeah, he came to me about buying some rocks.
In the afternoon of March 26, 2004, Casimiro calls Ceylon because he wants to purchase 3 ounces of crack.
I told him I have to go do a connecting. It'll be about 1900.
What he's telling us makes sense. Our victim felt comfortable enough with him as a past customer to call him to re-up, to do some more business with him. And Ceylon was willing to help.
What's in it for you?
I get a small piece of the cut.
Who's the connect?
My boy Stone.
Ceylon calls Stone and says, look, I got a guy that wants to buy 3 ounces of crack cocaine. Let's meet up and let's make this transaction work.
What's Stone's real name?
I don't know.
Okay. What's he look like?
He's a tall and thin brother.
That's the exact same description that Camilla gave as the guy that sat behind the victim in the car and actually fired the gun, killing him. So now I'm thinking Ceylon is literally telling us Stone is the trigger man.
I mean, Stone told me that they have to pick us up to go get the rocks, and I told Red and he picked us up. We were on our way giving this girl directions, and that's when it went crazy.
Everything was cool. Everybody's chilling in the car. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Ceylon says Stone pulls out a gun and shoots the victim in the back of the head.
Man, I couldn't believe it myself.
Ceylon says he had no idea Stone had a gun or that he was even going to kill the victim.
Stone asked where the money was, and he got out of his pocket.
He tells Camilla to get out the car. She did as she was told and ran off. I mean, this story's totally consistent with what Camilla said. I mean, everything right now is lining up.
I wasn't even in on the murder. I swear.
Okay. What happened next?
I mean, I got in the car, drove for a little bit, I stopped, and then I just ran. Ran all the way to Maple Creek.
We know this is somewhat of a self-serving statement, but his brother is giving us facts.
You didn't get any of the money?
Nah, man.
He was afraid, so afraid that when he stopped that car, he just ran. And he says he was afraid that Stone was gonna shoot him.
All right, did you get a look at where Stone went?
His behavior was appropriate, in our opinion, to what he was telling us. It lines up with facts. It kind of corroborates what Camilla's told us.
Okay. You free to go?
So, true to my word, I let Ceylon go home that day.
For real?
Yeah.
So right now, the only question we have is who is Stone? So the next day, we received a call from Ceylon Mason's girlfriend, and she told us Stone's real name is Melvin Johnson. We ran Melvin Johnson through the database and found out he was arrested for stomping a man to death 2 years earlier. He was currently out on bond awaiting trial.
We printed Melvin's mugshot and reached out to Ceylon for confirmation, but this guy wouldn't return our calls. So we got arrest warrants for both Ceylon and Melvin. We found out both of these guys fled town. On December 8, 2004, Ceylon Mason is arrested in Orlando, Florida. 2 days later, Melvin Johnson is arrested at home in Riverdale, Georgia.
Ceylon Mason pleads guilty to manslaughter and is sentenced to 20 years in prison. On March 16, 2007, Melvin Johnson finally goes to trial. Ceylon is the prosecution's star witness. Me and my partner felt like Ceylon was being truthful, and without a doubt, the jury felt the same way. Melvin Johnson is convicted of malice murder and sentenced to life in prison plus 5 years.
All right, let's see what we have.
Well, this case brings back memories because we were just 4 years in the homicide, trying to find our way.
What side on your shoe, man?
The battles and the hurdles that we had to go through in this case.
Of course he's not our guy.
We kept coming up empty.